We're going to start off pretty directly and just say why you should be listing all of your coffees on Cropster Hub. And then we'll follow up with some utilization, like logging into your shop, getting ready to list your coffees, importing your coffees, setting up your prices, and sharing your offering sheet digitally online. And then we'll go through the actual sales process and how to get the most out of using your account. The hope is to get all this in within an hour. We might get through it faster depending on the type of questions that we have, so feel free to send those through at any time. So why should you be listing all of your coffees on Hub? There's pretty much 3 reasons that make it possible. Reason number 1 is that buyers want it. Reason number 2 would be that sellers need it. And then number 3, it's a more affordable option to expand your sales efforts and tools. So buyers want it. E-commerce has been growing in pretty much every sector, and the demand to find and buy specialty coffee online is growing. This is exemplified with larger companies creating their offering sheets online and putting up more information where that might not be possible for everybody, which makes Cropster Hub a great tool. With everything moving online, requests for more information online has been growing, which means that you basically need to use some sort of system by either building your own online website, which you have to update on a regular basis, or utilize a system like Cropster Hub. People don't want to call and confirm if a list is accurate. They want to call and order the samples that you have, that you have available. And if you're not keeping your offering list up to date, it actually can backfire on you. People don't want to repeat their search. Buyers don't want to repeat their search effort. So going through multiple offering lists on a regular basis can actually be really redundant. And it's quite difficult for marketing at companies to keep up to date and just constantly send out which lots are new and which lots are running out. Where Cropster Hub gives buyers the option to create a search agent who searches for them and finds the samples that are available and that are new that meet their search criteria, which we'll go through later on. Lastly, they want a digital view of all the samples that they've received. Cropster Hub provides a specific place for buyers to view all of the samples that they've acquired, and it's a lot easier to manage than using your Gmail or looking through a paper log or notes that you have to the side. So this basically means that there's a need. And what we believe is that you can't replace Cropster Hub in this process. So even if your company has created its own platform, you really only have 2 options. You can build out your own website, manage the development of that site with constant revision meetings, or you can go in and utilize a pre-existing system that's designed to specifically meet your needs. Cropster Hub gives you a beautiful platform that allows you to show off your carefully sourced coffees and their stories, listing the origins, the farmer, post photos of the farm and videos, as well as listing a lot of traceability information that is difficult for you to send through with just a sample, when you can send through a link and an ability to capture people's feedback on those coffees as well. Hub opens up the doors to or beyond the regular customers that you do or have your interactions with. So people who aren't on your email list, people who you aren't cold calling or reaching out to might already be Cropster users, which means you have the ability to reach new markets, whether that's within regions that you already sell to or not. Cropster Hub tracks sample orders and allows you to charge for samples by taking credit cards, which you can refund after an order, and as well as it saves time managing your offering sheets and your actual dynamic pricing with your C market, as well as your sample orders. So you have all this information that you're able to manage and track within Cropster Hub, which can be utilized by certain members of your sales team and give people certain user rights, which we'll run through. And then the third point, beyond buyers wanting it and you essentially needing it, is the affordability option, which is a little bit of a tease because we'll go through the pricing at the end of the webinar. So that kind of leads us to the utilization of Cropster. Cropster Hub is the online listing platform for spot coffees as well as afloat coffees and coffees at origin, or not, or I guess contracted coffees. What you need to do before you get started is you need to sign up to be a Cropster Hub seller. When you first go to hub.cropster.com, you have the ability to log in the upper right-hand corner, as well as the option to actually become a seller, which is just a sign-up sheet. You put in your key information, and then somebody from the Hub sales team at Cropster will reach out to you and verify that you're a real seller. In the same way that we have to look out for real coffee buyers, we have to look out for real coffee sellers to verify that we don't have fake shops and things like that on our site. So when you first log in, we'll approve it, and then what you do is you just click on your username, which will give you the ability to set up your shop. When you first go in, you will want to just go through the process of setting up your shop, which means going through and really adding information behind your company. So the name of your company, what currency you're going to be charging in, the URL for your Cropster Hub website, a description of your company, where you are, as well as like additional information. So do you sell roast or give out roasted samples of your coffee instead of just green samples? Tell us a little bit about the story of your company, and then put up shop logo and images so that people are, interested in doing business with you. A really good example of a company that's set up a shop would be Nordic Approach. Nordic Approach has 2 shops on Cropster Hub. One is their North America, and the other one is their shop that's based in Europe. But here we have, their logo, their company, great photos, high quality banner logo. Banner at the top of the page. Basically, when you read through it, you read their stories, you can identify like easily what their shop policies are, how they deal with samples, how they deal with payment. This just makes it easier for people to deal with you as a company and have a clear understanding of what doing business with you will be like. Also, by setting everything up, people are on the page and they might start noticing buttons like follow us, which allows them to see when you add new coffee. So when you're on the phone with someone and you're using Hub, you can say, yeah, if you want to keep up to date on the coffees we're listing, follow us. Otherwise, they can just contact you directly if you're not doing the sales process through Hub. So right now they've got 251 lots that are listed. We'll go through what it looks like to add coffees in a minute, but I just wanted you to see what it looks like when you add your shop. So once you've added your shop, you'll want to enter your shop policies. You can have different policies for different things. It's worth entering in like how large are your samples, what are your refund policies, what additional information someone might need to know in order to do business with you. And then there's also shop defaults. This will streamline the entire process of uploading your coffees in the future, because you can say by default they're in a specific location. So let's say our coffees are mostly based in the Annex in Oakland. Then you also have the option for your status. So you can say by default all of our coffees are spot coffees, even though you may upload afloat coffees or coffees that are at origin. Minimum order amount, base price unit, everything that you might possibly need to list about your coffees as you build them. Payment and shipping is something that's really important for a person who's listing on a shop, because it basically tells the buyers what region you're willing to work within. You basically would say, hey, I'm only selling into North America and specifically within the United States. You can also turn that off and say worldwide, I'm going to ship coffee and we'll figure out how to do it. But that really depends on how your connections work. Something else that you can do from the shop is actually set up to accept payment. Setting up Express Coffee basically enables direct credit card payments, which is something that you might want to do if you are getting large volumes of sample orders and you want to make sure that you're not losing money on it. What you would need to do to set that up is just email us at hub@cropster.com, and then we can set you up with our Stripe account and walk you through the terms of service. And then once you're done, all you have to do is publish your shop. This is the same page that you can deactivate a shop if you want to. But generally, we recommend that you have at least one shop when you use Cropster Hub. You'll have to have one. But if your company has multiple brands, let's say you sell commercial coffee, under one brand, decaf under another, and specialty lots under another. You can have multiple shops, which allows people to filter your coffees a lot easier. So back to the overview, let's say we've set up our shop now, we went through the steps. What you'll want to do is you want to actually upload your coffees. So before you upload your coffees, the last thing that you'll want to do after you add a warehouse and you create your shop is you will want to add origin information. And I just want to show you what our origins look like. Normally you can just go to origins and say add one or add many. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Manage Coffee and just show you ones that we've created. So each origin here has like a specific name, what farm it is, the country, and then what the farm type. So you can have more than just a farm. You can add cooperatives, mills, associations that you want to put the traceability information in for. But what's great about it is you can build the story and then associate that origin with this specific lot that you're uploading. You can also upload a video URL now to that origin. So anytime that you assign a lot to that specific farm or origin, people will be able to see that information when they go online and watch that video, which generally is pretty awesome. But once you create an origin, you have the ability to assign that to any coffee that you upload, which is extremely helpful because it gives you that traceability and kind of that story behind each coffee that you list. As far as managing coffees, it's quite easy. You can upload one coffee at a time, or you can do it by multiple coffees. So I'm just going to say one new coffee and walk you through the steps of what it looks like. The whole idea of Cropster Hub is that it's very easy to use. Each thing should be fairly intuitive. If you have questions, you can always reach out to us. We're always a phone call away during normal business hours, or you can send us an email at hub@cropster.com. You just choose a lot name, where that coffee is. You can put in additional tracking information, so like the sales number that you would use, the reference ID, ICO, bag marks, how that coffee is set up. And basically the reason why you would want to fill in more information on this is because Cropster Hub from a buyer perspective works based on searching. So once you put a specific origin, let's say Colombia, anytime someone searches just Colombia, your coffee will show up. If you put in a specific varietal, your coffee will show up. Cup score, descriptors. You definitely want to list your coffees in a way where they will be found. Some interesting things for you to know is there are some options that you can choose when you upload your coffee. So you have the ability to do dynamic pricing, which is based on the C market pricing. So you can write in a function of basically the C market price plus a premium, or even with an exchange rate or things like that, so that it's very clear how it works for your pricing, which means as the C market changes and we pull down the price on a regular basis, about once, I think it's once a day at 3 a.m. Pacific time. Once we have that, you have the ability to see your prices in real time. You don't have to go in and update them on a regular basis because it'll do it on its own. Special offer means that when you use the listing widget, which I'll show you how to use in just a second, you actually have the ability to highlight specific coffees. Then there's price visibility. So if you choose to have dynamic pricing, let's say your company's too small and you really need to negotiate what that price is based on the volume, you can hide pricing from the public, which means that they won't see pricing until you get a concrete request and you know, hey, this person is interested in my coffee, and they're not going to haggle it down before they at least taste it. Yeah, then you can add those additional details that we were talking about earlier. All of these are searchable online. Add in an optional cup score and descriptors, and then say continue and select an origin. From there, you can choose the origin that you've already pre-created and hit publish. And what that does is it adds it to your listing under your shop. So if we go back to my coffees, we can see that I have 4 coffees. 3 of them are inactive and 1 of them is still active. All of them were spot, what the origins are, what the name is. And if I want to, I can go to that specific lot right now and see what that coffee looks like. So that'll load in just a second. This is not a perfect listing, not really extra information available in my origin. Shipping information is empty, policies are empty. I would describe this as not great. What I would recommend is checking out other shops and seeing how they have listed their coffees. So if we were to pull up this lot, we have at least good descriptors, cupping score, varietal, the processing, crop year, and then additional information. At least this says we will have more information. But yeah, so it's worth checking out what other people are doing in order to be successful on the site. So another thing that you might want to see is this ratings option. Ratings in here are generated using Cropster Hub tag, which is a QR code system that we released at SCA Expo this year in Seattle. Basically what it does is you can do a public cupping, or you can include the code with the samples that you're sending through. People can scan it and then log their feedback. And what that does is it gives them the ability to look back at a coffee. Basically, underneath their account, they can view, the buyer can view which coffees they've tasted and what their notes and reactions were. Share those results with people within their company, and then you get a general rating feedback here. You're not going to get specifically who tasted your coffee. It's an anonymous system which allows people to put in their actual feedback and not fear retaliation, but it gives you a clear idea about how people feel about the coffee. So yeah, I know that we mentioned Cropster auctions in our advertisement for this webinar, but we're not going to have enough time to go through an auction demo. We do have about I think we have 2 auctions planned for this year, but it's very much a concierge service. So when we set you up with an auction, we go through, we make sure that you have an appropriate amount of marketing lined up, you have the appropriate number of lots. We want to make sure that you do everything that you can to be successful with this. You can also send out samples or manage sample orders through Cropster Hub, as well as the entire auction. So it's definitely something we're checking out. Our next auction will be in July. It's a Project Origin auction. It's definitely worth checking in to see what that looks like. But we won't be going any deeper into that today. So that's how you upload your coffees, what your coffees would look like. What I want to walk you through next is actually how to share your offering sheet. So a big complaint, a big detail that a lot of sellers run into is keeping their offering sheets up to date. What you just saw was a very easy way to upload your coffees. And I'm going to kind of jump between 2 options. One is how to upload your listing, and then also how to edit your listings. So what a offering sheet with Cropster Hub looks like, here's one that's hosted by Collaborative Coffee Source. And what they've done is they've separated out their listings into different regions. So this is their North America listing. We have their East Coast, shows their Brazilian coffees and their Burundi coffees. Then they have their West Coast location, which has their Colombia, Ethiopia, Honduras, Kenya, more listings. And what you can do is you can actually describe and choose which columns you want to have available when you have this listing. So all of this information is up to date based on how it's been put online by their team. And if I click on it, what it has is it goes directly to the Cropster listing, which allows a buyer to go in and actually order samples. So if they read through, they saw the information that they were looking for, looked at the shipment information, they're like, oh, okay, like, I can get at least a whole bag. Then they go to order sample. It lets me know that samples ordered through Hub are $10, including shipping. I, as a buyer, go, that seems fair. And then it's added to my cart, and it allows me to go to checkout. So I can see what samples I've added from each company, and I can check out from each company individually, just because each one is going to process their samples individually. So if I go to complete my profile, I can add in my information. It looks like they're going to ship to me based on my location. If my profile wasn't fully built out, or if I was in the wrong country and they don't ship to me, like for example, if I was using an Austrian account and wanted to buy from Nordic Approach US, I would actually get a notification that says I can't buy from them because I'm in the wrong region based on their terms and conditions. So you have the ability to set those when you are setting up your account. As far as actually listing your spreadsheet, not your spreadsheets, but your offering sheet or your offer list widget on your site, it's fairly simple. You basically need to drop in a line of code from HTML, which we've outlined here under the Getting Started Offering List Widget section, which is just down on the bottom of the page. But you can see like what some examples look like. You can drop in different companies. Basically, you would drop in your own shop name based on how you set it up within Cropster. And then you just choose which categories you're interested in having show based on field names. And you paste it in and it starts working from that point on. Well, this is one of the more valuable tools that you get when you sign up for Cropster. So we've gone through logging into your shop, getting ready to list your coffees, importing your coffees, sharing your offering sheet, setting up your prices, and then actually viewing your offer list widget. But I just want to make sure that you know that we have to load many coffees at the same time. You can pull down coffees and then relist them over again. But adding multiple is quite easy because you have the ability to use an Excel uploader. So basically how it works is you can drag and drop in your offer list as you have it existing in Excel or in any of these specific file types. And then you say choose file, you drop it in, and it basically will start mapping what the title of each category is, and then you would match categories that don't match and additional information. It's like maybe you don't have an origin column or your origin names don't match up with it. And then once you've filled in all the information, you just say import and it uploads information. On top of that, you do have the option to go in and say, you know, edit this coffee. So like if we select these four, you can say edit all. And then it just creates it in that same spreadsheet view that we would have otherwise. And it gives you the ability to say how much you have available. We can view our dynamic pricing and change pretty much any information that we've already put in on that account. But yeah, if anybody has questions about things that we've gone through so far, please feel free to send them through. But the next thing I want to run through is actually how to utilize the system for sales processes and how to get the most out of your account once you've gone through and already done your setup. All right. So from your dashboard, you have the ability to basically view what your sales looks like. All of the sample orders and actual coffee orders that you get through Hub will come in through orders and sales. I'm going to go ahead and show you sales. Sales is just going to show you all the samples that have been ordered, who they've been ordered from, what prices they were, and it'll actually give you a history of the conversation that you've had with the company that you're talking to. You can print out the list by coffee, which basically gives you the ability to see what you're going to have to ship out that day based on pulling samples. But it also gives you the ability to filter by order and start getting your shipping together. So if I go to view order for Hard Bodies Coffee and Gym, I can see Chad's email. I can then see my response. And then also I can like continue to have follow-up on this order. And this goes directly to their inbox. Anytime they respond to me, I get it in my inbox. And it goes into notifications. Additional things, it shows like when they first requested the order, if they ever made an offer, closing it if we decide to do the sales process through Hub, which we recommend. And then also like shipment terms and the ability to upload documents. So if we write up a contract, put it in a PDF, we can upload it and both of us can access it from the same point. It also shows the history of which samples we got and gives us a link to those samples if we want to view them here. If you are a Cropster user and you're utilizing these functions and you have feedback for us, that's really important. We would like to hear additional feedback from our users because that just really helps us improve the software. So if you do have anything that you'd like to add, please let us know just at hub@cropster.com, and that gives us a pretty clear path for us to move forward through with software development. As far as managing orders, you will be able to filter and see a historical view of the orders that came through your system, as well as in your inbox, you can see all of the communication that you've had. Mine is set up a little bit on an admin side for Cropster Hub, so it's not one that is terribly helpful for us with the demo right now. But notifications, the way they go, they let us know notifications both from a buyer side and a seller side. So you're both using the same communication flow within the software. For a wish list, that's a buyer side function, but you should know how it works. Basically, when you go to create when you go to purchase coffees, if you say get samples and you like them, you can add them to your wish list, which makes it easier for you to see which coffees you're interested in purchasing. As far as your account information goes, each user has their own account, which is set up underneath the company. So your company profile is set up here. You add in your general company information, but adding members, each person at your company can have a role and a role description, which can be changed by the admin at your company. So a viewer will only be able to view orders. A collaborator is able to do most things except for add and remove users, purchase coffee, reject order, or accept orders, create and edit auctions, and a lot of auction settings would be needed for a manager or an admin. The only people who can create shops would be admin, editing, company information would be admin. But it's a fairly intuitive system. To add a user, you just say invite user, type in their email, and choose which access they have, which you can basically choose here. Yeah, so when it comes to account information, once you log in, you put in your full name, hopefully with correct spelling, and then you can add, your current password, and then update your password if you want to. Additional things that you can have, like you can see save searches if you're a Hub buyer, or maybe you want to see, just let me know when a competitor posts a different or a similar coffee to me. You can save a search just by going through the search engine up at the top of the page. Ratings lets you know which coffees you've tasted using Hub tag, so that's more of a buyer tool. But yeah, so really it's a fairly intuitive system that allows you to push through your sales process and share information with people. So let's say you get a sales call and somebody is asking you about one of the coffees that you have. If you're posting all of your coffees on Cropster Hub, you have a full list of all the coffees with all the information that you can need for the sales process, except for maybe contracts. But what you can do is you can go through to those coffees and view the information in real time and send through those links, as well as related coffees that might be interesting from your company. You can just copy the link, send it through in an email, say, hey, nice to meet you. Here are those coffees that we were talking about. You can order a sample through this page if you're interested. And then it puts the follow-up not just in your hands, it also puts it in the hands of the company you're working with. But yeah, so you might be wondering, this is all really cool. I'm interested in using it. What are the next steps? So when you use Cropster Hub, we offer a free 30-day trial. Some people have had longer trials than that, but we are moving it into payment. We will onboard you, set you up, make sure that we answer whatever questions you have within the 30-day trial, and then we move into payment. The way how payment works is on our website, and pricing-wise, we have it listed at $9 per listing per month. In general, this works for a lot of smallholder companies, but what we've gone through and done is we've also created a annual pricing for users who would be listing, say, more than 15 coffees per month. Especially when you have multiple coffees, some of them might not sell incredibly quickly. And let's say if you had 100 coffees, that you're listing at the same time each month. It can be a very costly system to use. So what we've done is we've come up with dynamic pricing that scales with your company. So let's say you agree that you need to use Cropster Hub. What we've done is we've created a dynamic pricing and have decided to offer annual pricing that is discounted at 10%. So the way how it works is the first 5 coffees that you list are listed at the same $9 per listing. The next 10 coffees are at $6 per listing, the next 35 at $3 per listing, the next 150 at $1.70 per listing, and the following coffees up to 600 are at 30 cents per listing. And if you're listing more than 600 coffees per year, give us a call and we'll discuss pricing with you and what your potential needs might be for a system like Cropster Hub. But what that comes out to for 100 coffee listings within a year, using annual payments, it would be $2,950 a year. We would keep track of the number of listings that you post, which comes out to roughly $245 per month, which turns out to be a really awesome deal as long as you keep track of which coffees you've listed. And when you pay annually, we're not going to keep track of how many months you have it online. So if you're paying monthly, we will just charge you the price per month based on the number of coffees you've listed based on this dynamic pricing. But if you say, I would like to be able to list 100 coffees this year, this is the flat price. And you can have your coffees listed for the entire year. If you list 200 coffees, it's going to be $4,650 or roughly $388 a month is what it comes out to. If you list up to 300 coffees specifically, it would come out to about $413 a month, which isn't that much more expensive than listing 200 coffees. So you actually do benefit by listing more coffees on the platform. Really sorry if I spoke super quick. If anybody has questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'm pretty sure that I blew through that very quickly, but if you have any questions, please feel free to send them through. I'll sit around for a few minutes and answer whatever questions you might have regarding pricing, about Cropster Hub. Maybe you have a question about our auctions, but I just want to say thanks for joining us today on the webinar and hope that you enjoyed it, and maybe see you at our next one, which I believe is on Cropster Lab, which is our quality control software where you can actually log all of your cuppings and your samples over time. But yeah, so I'm gonna shut off my microphone and my camera, but I'll still be here in the chat if you have any more questions. So thanks.